Welcome back, everyone. I'm excited to have you join us for tomorrow's growth from today's customers. I'm Josh Green, and we've got two great speakers. It's interesting, two-time buyers are 9 times more likely to make repeat purchases. So that second sale is a key growth milestone. And we're going to talk about that with a 4-point framework for converting those one-time buyers into repeat purchasers. I'm really thrilled to have with us as our speakers David Chinn, the president of Lexer, and Natalie Brown, the head of marketing at Sur La Table. Please join me in welcoming them.
Hi there. Thank you all for coming to join our session today. I want to do a quick shout out to all the folks that are joining us online. Thanks for connecting. As we get into our content today, we're going to try and leave time for questions. So please jot down your questions. Today's goal is to give you some practical takeaways for a topic that Natalie and I are both very passionate about. For those unfamiliar with Lexer, just the quick introduction, we're a customer data platform. So we're focused 100% on direct-to-consumer brands and retailers with a very single-minded goal, which is to drive incremental sales through improved customer experience. Today we're going to talk about, I think, one of the biggest challenges facing today's modern brand, which is converting one-time buyers. So we want to frame the problem for you. We'll give you a practical framework that you can take back into your business. Natalie's done some amazing work on this at Sur La Table, so she's going to share her learnings over the last few years tackling this challenging problem, and then we're going to open up for questions. So as we look across all of our Lexer customers, we did an analysis on order frequency, and by far and away the largest segment is that one-time buyer, and it ranges from 50 to 80% typically. And this is something that has significantly exploded with COVID. So again, if we look across our customers and compare their new customer acquisition in 2020 to 2019, on average, our US customers grew their database by 79% more in 2020 than they did in 2019. So e-commerce saw a deluge of customers coming to their web store as retail shops were closed. And now one of the questions is the profile of those customers that flocked to their e-commerce channel a great customer, and do we need to treat them differently? Can we get them to buy again? One thing that we do know is that when you can successfully drive that second sale from a customer, your journey to lifetime value growth unlocks, because those two-time buyers are much, much more, 9 times more likely to repeat purchase with you. So we think that this is like the number one challenge of any growth marketer here, is to be focused on how you drive that second sale. Now, the framework that we've seen be so successful across geographies, industry verticals, and company size is this 4-point framework that starts with data and insight. So if there's one thing that you take away to this, the way that you convert a customer to the second sale is through understanding their needs, engaging them in a relevant way, and you can only do that with robust data and insights into your customers. That insight needs to inform how you engage with them. And then after you create your interaction, you need to then measure and optimize. You need to pick the interactions that work for you and then automate them. Because I'm sure everyone here in the room is not drowning in team or resource, and you don't have capacity to generate hundreds of campaigns, and so you need to find the ones that work and then automate them. So moving on to Natalie, one thing that I've always been in awe of in our relationship working with Natalie and the team at Sur La Table is just their multi-pronged approach to converting one-time buyers. And so maybe, Natalie, I'll hand over to you to share your approach.
So we've got a pretty complex business model. Obviously, we sell the hard goods, the pots, the pans, the knives. We also have cooking schools. So for us, we really do take a multi-pronged approach because there are lots of opportunities. But for today, because we wanted to break it down into some actionable takeaways, sort of categorized the 3 main approaches we've taken into this crawl, walk, run approach, so that we can take lessons from each of those individual ideas and then apply that to your business no matter where you are in scale and size. So crawl is the entry point. This is, great for companies where you've got new teams, maybe you're new to running a CDP, but it's a very easy entry point where you can build proof for management, leadership team, show how you're leveraging your customer data. It's also very fast and easy to iterate, and you can keep reviewing and improving. And what we're doing in the crawl phase is really taking this hero product approach. So understanding what those entry point products are that are more likely to cause the second conversion purchase. On the walk phase, this is where we talk about timed and personalized messaging triggered. It's a little bit more complex, but still pretty easy to iterate. And this is where you start building customer maps and customer journeys, and you start leveraging touch points beyond just a single product. And then on the run, this is the more complex. This is longer term. This is where you really leverage your loyalty program. We have a tiered awards program, and it's very important that on this phase, you nail it and you get it right. There's less room for error. And obviously, you can keep improving, but there's less continual iteration on this, because when you roll out a loyalty program, part of what customers are looking for is something they can trust and rely on, that's going to be there, and it's going to really solidify that relationship with your brand long term.
Great. So what we might do today is just step through each of the strategies and share some practical examples. But we're really eager to demonstrate to you how we leverage the 4-point framework. And so I'll play the role of the data guy here. I'm really happy to play that role. So for our crawl strategy, one of the things that I'd encourage you, if you're not doing this already, to take back when you get back to home now, or the office if you're luckily in physical space together, is to build out some segments of customers based on the category or product of their first purchase with you. And then for each of those segments, compare your conversion rate to second order. And so when we did this analysis for Natalie and the team at Sur La Table, we saw this really interesting trend pop out where customers who first purchase a culinary class, they're 34% more likely to go on to place 2 or more orders as compared to gift cards or kitchen, for example. Kitchen's a big category, so minus 1% there is actually pretty favorable, but then entertaining shows a positive direction. So maybe Natalie, when we came to you with some of these insights, anything stand out as you as being interesting, or any takeaways?
Yeah. Well, the first is it sort of confirmed what we knew. We knew people came to us for cooking classes, and the ones who did tended to come back. They learned something, had a great experience, they want to come back and learn more. Entertaining was an interesting one because that's dinnerware and tablescapes. So I think, it stands to reason that maybe someone has a dinner party and then they want to do more, or they come back and take a class or something. But the interesting one was kitchen. Now, it is a big category, but we were surprised to see that minus 1%. And then we realized that you need to dig down because it is such a big category. You have to go deeper. And so we did that. And then the next example is one of the discoveries that we made. There were standout products in the kitchen category. So as a whole, kitchen was not a great category to drive that second purchase. But when you took it down to the product level, there were some real standouts. And our friend Instant Pot here was one that really hit. Folks who had purchased an Instant Pot were 8% more likely to go on to make a second purchase. So this is our hero product, and this is how we leveraged it in a hero product strategy. Instant Pot focused email, but it went beyond just the Instant Pot, because showing you just an Instant Pot might inspire you to buy. But we did other things, and I think this is where you leverage data, and you also leverage knowing other categories that are motivators and knowing what customers are coming to you to buy for. So the Instant Pot accessories, that helps round out the basket size and have a higher average order basket. But also having those accessories gives you a better experience with your Instant Pot. You're going to be able to do more, do it easier. So you're going to be happier with your purchase, happy with the brand, and also, again, setting you up for that second purchase. And then the other thing I'm going to call out are the recipes. So to me, those are sort of to help the purchase. They're those purchase intent drivers. It's a bit of inspiration. If you were unsure, if you didn't know the Instant Pot was really right for you, but you see some delicious food and you read the recipe and suddenly you're in this mindset where you need an Instant Pot, and then buy an Instant Pot, and then you're going to be 8% more likely to make that important second purchase.
I think another little clever tactic that's hidden here is the presentation of the accessories, because the accessories are a really strong second order category as well. And so you're almost educating the consumer around what things to think about in their next purchase with you. Now, if we move to the walk, now, as Natalie said, this is more analytically driven. It's setting up journeys that are conditional to that product of first purchase. And so when we look at this type of early purchase journey, what we're really eager to do here is to, again, segment out customers by their category or actual product of first purchase, and then understand their behavior when they come back for their second transaction. The two things that we're really interested in here are what products do they buy next, and how long do they take to come back and purchase. These are the two critical variables that you use for timing and personalization of message. And so there were some kind of surprising insights as we looked at this, because overwhelmingly, when you look at this at the category level, customers will always come back and purchase within the same category. You know, that's a kind of tried and trusted view across all of our customers. But we saw a few things here that were interesting that didn't follow the norm. Maybe you want to pick some of those out for us, Natalie?
Yeah, you know, I think the main thing, we expected, again, you take a cooking class and you need the stuff to make the food that you cooked. So a kitchen purchase after taking a class makes sense. But when I looked at kitchen and culinary, I was really surprised, because you'd think that people in culinary cooking classes, so people who bought stuff to cook with would be interested in cooking and would come and take a class and want to learn how to cook more things, you know, get better at how they cook. And that wasn't the case. So this is where we pivoted to the strategy of really digging into the data and doing this triggered personalization. So what we're doing is, and we started with baking, and the reason we picked baking is, as you guys all know, the last year and a half is just a huge explosion in baking. So we were tapping into the customer zeitgeist, you know, what is happening in people's lives. But also we know that baking is a really strong category for us, and we have some really standout baking classes that are perennial favorites. So we chose baking because we knew it's a relevant category right now. And we're targeting folks who purchased some bakeware. So they've bought something to bake with, so they have an interest in baking, and they now have the products. And what we're trying to do here is get them to come back and take a class from us. Secondarily, what we've done is we have two ways to take cooking classes. You can come to an in-store location and take a hands-on in-person class, or we have a really amazing online cooking school as well, where you can take an online cooking class. So we try to frame the program as, hey, you may be interested in baking, and there are two easy ways to take a class with us. And then the third thing, again, leveraging the data, right, is what were the key driver classes in each of those categories, and really highlighting them and bringing them forward with delicious photography. Your content is super important. And then the last thing is setting up automations. So once you have these flows, these customer flows that work, set up the automations. And so then the next step is testing into different product categories and what are the ancillary classes, and finding those sweet product categories and the sweet spots on the classes that work, and then setting up those automations.
So I think this is, you know, there's two things that we see here. One is you can play to your strengths or fix your weaknesses. And so I think this is a really good example of where the team at Solar Tub have actually tried to fix one of their weaknesses by trying to drive that second sale in a really personalized way to a kitchen category buyer by offering them a cooking class to try and lift that conversion to second order across the category. So very clever. Okay, our final one, which is the loyalty program. And you know, I've really admired the way that Solar Tub have constructed their loyalty program. And maybe just a little personal comment, I often think that brands overcomplicate their loyalty program. And so, you know, there's elegance in simplicity. I think what Natalie's done is particularly compelling. you want to tell us a bit about the loyalty program?
Yeah, thank you. Some of it was elegance and simplicity driven by need. So I had to put a loyalty program together, and I didn't have a lot of resources, and I had to work within the systems that I had, and I knew that we could do a buy more, save more promotion. So I basically took that idea and spun it into an annual evergreen program. So it's quarterly based, buy more in a quarter. At the end of the quarter, you get a reward. It's tiered based on how much you spent in that quarter, and we send you a coupon. So what's great about that is obviously you get your coupon, so that's going to drive second purchase, right? The program is actually second year anniversary, right, in October, and we've seen a lot of traction with it. It continues to be a big attributed revenue driver. Every quarter when we have our rewards period, we see a nice chunk of attributed revenue, but we're also, from the customer standpoint, seeing people, in social talking about their perks reward. People are looking forward to it, and they've now become conditioned 2 years in that it's going to be happening. So the stickiness happens. You just kind of have to hang in there and be consistent, make it easy to understand. You get that stickiness. And so we really are seeing an increase in the second buyer categories of people who are in the perks program. And so as a marketer, the goal then is, how do you market perks and get people to actively use their email when they're making a transaction and accumulate those rewards, because when they get the coupon, they will come back and use it. So it's easy to administer. And then the other opportunity for me, and especially with having Lexer now and having the CDP to help fuel the program, without having to bring in an external platform, I can still make enhancements to my program. And we recently rolled out a birthday reward. So now we are collecting that extra piece of customer data, able to reward customers in their birthday month, and theoretically, again, this is going to be an incremental purchase because it's something special. We're giving them $10, no strings attached. Come in, just spend, so it feels like something special. It's a nice birthday reward. There's not a purchase purchase floor. So I think if you're going to be doing things on the reward front, tie it to your customer data, make it easy, but also make it feel special if you're doing something over and above to get additional customer information.
Yeah, I think one thing with a loyalty program like this is it gives you the right as a brand to ask questions of your customers like your birthday that then have a logical application to future engagement. So I think 2 years in, they've made amazing strides, but there's a lot of runway for future development. Okay, well that concludes the kind of structured content. We've got about 3 minutes left, and so I thought we'd hand over if anyone has any questions. Great.
For your loyalty program, in terms of redeeming the rewards, what options does the customer have, and do you use those, or would a customer use those on one of the classes?
Yes, so great question. What options do people have for redeeming their rewards? So we try to make it as flexible as possible. We give people 45 days to redeem a reward, which is quite a long window, and you can redeem it in stores or online. You earn your rewards on both cooking class purchases and we call it hard goods, so non-cooking class purchases. And we are opening up cooking class redemptions again as we head into the October reward cycle. We had closed it last March because our kitchens were closed when we had to close down cooking schools. So COVID did have us dial back on how you could redeem your rewards. We kept the hard goods going, but the lesson here is we communicated it really well. We made sure that, not only on the FAQ page, but in the email that people got, terms and conditions, the coupon conditions. So folks understood the need and they understood what they could and could not do. And now we're really privileged because we can dial that back and re-engage cooking classes again.
Is there a point in time when you realize your first-time customers are not going to buy again, and you kind of let them go, so to speak? And do you know why they don't buy again? And do you make some last-ditch effort, last-ditch offer, if you will, to get them to come back before letting them go?
Yeah, so we definitely look at our customers, in cohorts, and we know when their most recent purchase was. And that's the amazing thing about a tool like Lexer, right? You can easily look at those groups, and we have our benchmarks for when someone is considered a lapsed customer. And yes, we do make efforts. We do try and re-engage and reactivate lapsed customers. But I think, like all of us here, you eventually do face attrition in some customer groups, but we don't let people go without a fight.
One recommendation for those lapsed customers, if you've been very email-centric on communicating with them as they get towards their high churn risk phase, don't shy away from targeting them in other channels, because the issue might be email, not the customer's desire to purchase from your brand. So take your opted out customers in email, take the ones that haven't opened an email for 6 months but are still opted in, feed them into Facebook, it's a great channel for that, and then target them in paid, and you'll be surprised with the results that you'll get.
And also even try, if you've got an SMS program, try and divert them, get their phone numbers, get them to sign up for SMS. Maybe they're just overwhelmed with emails. So definitely try other marketing channels as well.
Hi, I'm curious about the execution of the program, taking the crawl, walk, run strategy. How long did it take you to implement something like that, and what is the size of your team to do so?
So I have a really tiny team, but small but mighty. And we actually, we're going to be 50 next year. So we've been doing this for a long time. So we were pretty lucky because we could implement all 3 phases. There was a bit of a stagger. We did a bit of a crawl, walk, run, but we were firing on all cylinders pretty much, within a few months, within 6 months, we were ramped up across the board. And I think it's because we're an older company, we've been doing this a long time, so we were set up to do that. And I think just if you are a smaller company or someone just starting out, I would just say pace it based on the level of comfort, the size of your team, the results you're seeing. You're going to have to make that judgment call based on what you're seeing happening with your approach. I don't know, David, do you have any advice on that one?
Start with there's like an ease and impact exercise, because each of the campaign activations carry a different level of complexity or effort to kick off. And then I'd size them against the segments that you're communicating to and the conversion rate and average order value in the segments, and build your business case that way. Build trust in the return and use that to garner the business case to generate more resource for your team. We're at time, so thank you very much for joining. For those that, if you have any additional questions, we'll be in the discovery room, or you can come and meet Natalie and I at the booth later on. So thank you very much.
And don't forget to go to the Lexer booth, kiosk 45, to win a $500 Solar Top gift card.
You can buy quite a lot there. Thank you.
Well, thank you.